Welcome to another of our Getting to Know Folk Around Clare LNE videos. It's been a long time since we have had one, but hoping to get a few more of those happening, and delighted that today our guest is Everisto Musezda. Am I saying that correctly, Everisto?
100%. I can actually give you Zimbabwean citizenship. You pronounce that so well.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to you. I've met with you on a few occasions in person and online. Always a joy to meet with you. Some of the folk watching maybe haven't had that pleasure yet, and so tell us a wee bit about yourself and what you're doing in Clare LNE.
All right. As you've heard, thank you, Donald, for having me on this program. It's such a pleasure to come and get to know others, and as they get to know me too. So, as you've said, my name is Everisto Musezda, and I am from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is where I come from, and I came to Scotland in 2021. September 2021 is when I came to Scotland to do my familiarization process. If you're not familiar with that, it's when you are serving as a minister outside the Church of Scotland. If you want to come into the Church of Scotland, when you go through the admissions conference, and when you are admitted, then you come to Scotland and you go through 1 year of what they call familiarization, pretty much to get to know how things do work here. And part of that, we include doing the church history, the Church of Scotland church history. You also do church law and many other things. So I did that in 2021. I was in Lugs. Lugs is where I was. And when I finished my familiarization, I then went to help out in Stevenson, which was linked with Adie, and North Parish Church, which was in Saltcoats. So I was in Saltcoats the first and the third Sunday of every month, and in Stevenson, linked with Adie, I was there the second and the fourth Sundays of every month. And then I applied for the charge of Cowal Cake, and then I moved to Danun, Cowal Cake, in June 2023. The 14th of June 2023 was my induction date, and then that's it was the then Argyle Presbytery, and then a big presbytery came into place, Clare LNE. I'm glad now I can pronounce that, because when I heard that, I always said, "What was that?" So I then came to this. So that's the short story. I know you would unpack it later on.
Excellent. Thank you. So you spoke about becoming familiar with the Church of Scotland ways. Were there any surprises there? Anything that you thought, why do you do it this way?
You see, I was coming from the background of the church, the Presbyterian church. When I was in Zimbabwe, I was a minister in the Presbyterian church. So there were a lot of things that were quite surprising in many ways. Like the first thing was, the parish system that you have here, that you're not just a minister of your own congregation, you are the minister of the parish, which that maybe put different is just that includes your geographical settings, as it were. So I was quite surprised that as the minister, your responsibility is to deal with funerals within your parish boundaries. If you're asked to take a funeral, whereas back home, a minister, I would do funerals within the parish, as it were, but not as the way it is here. That is almost like a requirement, if I may put it that way, that you have that parish. And then also, even the preparation of that, how things do work when it comes to it's the funeral directors that get in touch with you as the minister and all that. And I was coming from a system that, no, I deal with the families that come to me, vice versa. So it was just that. And also how in some instances people are still using communion cards, to issue communion tokens, little cards to invite folk to to come for communion. So that was that was that. And also, just what was also very surprising was how, for some, how they love the buildings. It's just quite surprising, because I came in when the Presbytery plans were, being talked about, the changes, the closure of buildings and all that was quite a surprise, because my background, yes, we did. There are some of our congregations that do have buildings. Others don't have buildings. They literally worship outside, some under a tree. And so buildings are never end. Because it was one of those things that were, and also the lack of younger generations was quite a shock in many ways,
Right.
and that
Yeah. But
yeah.
you've turned some of that around, haven't you? I was hearing about Pizza Church and over 100 folk gathering. Was it last Friday? You had a Pizza Church. Yeah.
Oh yeah, last Friday we do it with that Pizza Church, where we're just again just making initiative that says how can we engage with younger families and all that. So that was that. It's going on. It happens. We always have it the third Friday of a month, where we meet, we gather with young, and the response has been incredible. And just yesterday, we also launched what we called the Good Food, in partnership with the local primary schools. Like yesterday, it was in partnership with one of our local schools, so that the Parents' Day, Parents' Evening, and we distributed 100 good food bags, just those 100 good bags, where it was the recipe for lentil soup. So all the ingredients for lentil soup were in there. And we were saying, as the church, we wanted to promote good food. So the challenge was for families to say, send us pictures when you're making this soup with your family and all that. And videos and pictures are slowly trickling in. But again, the emphasis being, we just want to engage and find a connection with our community as we build good relations that can form conversations around our faith and Jesus.
So that parish system that you were saying was a very different experience for you. It is actually something that you're very much embracing and engaging with the wider community beyond the walls of the church.
Oh yeah, and I think as I said, it was a shock to come into that when you're coming to. But I've actually, in hindsight, I actually look at it and say, I think this is such a good initiative, in that you're just not focused on your own, because it's easy to just focus inward. But this has given us an opportunity to explore differently and engage differently. In fact, we are now saying, we've had so many people actually saying, what can I do, that are not part of the traditional setup, if I might put it that, the traditional setup of the church. So we have seen so many opportunities in the parish.
Brilliant. I mean, the Pizza Church model is inspirational, and certainly thinking about doing something like that here in my my parish. So thank you for sharing that idea. Now you're
Mm,
involved
mhm.
with FAPLT, Faith Action Program Leadership Team. We do like our acronyms and abbreviations around the around the Kirk. Tell us a wee bit about what Faith Action Program Leadership Team is up to these days.
I think the General Assembly gave it the mandate to try and shape the direction forward, to try and inspire the church to take a different route. And then I think what has excited me joining, I've just recently joined that team. What has inspired me is how the team is comprised of people that are willing to explore new ways, that are willing to say, have the courage to quote the words of a convener who said, the church has got to have the courage to move forward. But not only does it have to seek the courage to move forward, sometimes it has to seek more courage to stop certain things, to stop doing things certain ways. So it is a team of people that has inspired us. What I've loved is what is launched by the team, the vivid vision, in which it's envisioning ourselves to say, imagine if you wake up in 2027, what would the church look like? The church will look like a place where everyone is coming together, where people are happy, where people are smiling, where people talk more about Jesus and not the church, where people are enabled to do to do, encouraging people to explore, not to. It's a team that's trying to say, how can we enhance mission and ministry in the local settings? What is it that might come in the way? How can we rearrange things so that mission and the growth of the church can be seen? So that for me has been exciting to be a part of,
Mm.
to see church trying hard to have an introspection and says, this hasn't worked, what else can we do? And also just reminding ourselves that Christ is at the center. This is the work of God. This is the work of the church, belongs to God, and God can surprise us. And the other thing is to say, we've always come up with our plans and made provisions, but have we made a provision for God to show up? I think that's, for me, is also exciting, that we are preparing for God to show up in this particular point of history. When God shows up, imagine the difference,
Yeah.
the God moment. And
Mm.
also part of that is, as the team meets together, the convener and the other parties always emphasize to say, if we feel there's a God moment, let's pause. We are allowed to pause and say, we had this in mind, but no, let's pause. Let's listen to what the Spirit is saying. What is God inviting us to do? So that's, for me,
Mm.
has been very exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, yeah. And the vivid vision video is
Yeah.
on YouTube, and if you haven't already seen it, it's worth looking for that. I'll pop the link in the description of the YouTube video when we upload that, and
Mm,
there'll also be the audio version as a podcast. We'll see that
mm,
the notes to that. Yeah, it was at that day at Murrayfield. Almost 300 ministers gathered.
oh, yeah,
It'll be
yeah,
the last occasion when I met you in person. That was a really inspiring day, wasn't it, Everisto?
absolutely. Again, the emphasis, again, just getting together to worship God, to remind each other, or to be reminded as servants of God, that we are loved, we are valued, we are cared for, people, we are praying for each other. I think that for me was the takeaway, a reminder
Mm,
that as you serve, you are also valued, you are also loved, and you're also encouraged to say, we can come together and just be in each other's company, in each other's presence, and worship together and also even the breakaway sessions, have different conversations that you have interest in, and just that time away together as servants of God that lead the church to say, hey, ho, we have a God who cares for us, God who called us into this ministry.
Yeah, yeah. And around Clare LNE, what would be some of your hopes and dreams for the presbytery?
I dream of a time when we remind ourselves of God's call and God's blessings. One of the things that I so love is the text in Isaiah where it says, "Behold, I'm doing something new." Um, and I think of it I take that very literally. And I'm also reminded of the passage in Lamentations where the author writes and says, God's blessings are new every morning. I long for newness every day, where I wake up and say, what is new? What is it that is new? But here are my hopes and aspirations for Clare LNE. I hope for a day where revival is happening in every parish, in every community, where people are revived, people are refreshed again. I long for a time when communities begin to come together to share the good news that says, let's gather. Like, this is the Easter time where we hear, like we've got the hubs and the mission groups where we can hear of saying, Argyle and Log Harbor has booked Inverary and said during the Easter, the Good Friday, the Good Saturday and Sunday, we are fellowshipping and worshiping God together as a community. I long for those moments. I long for a church that is so full of young families and young people that are enabled, that are given the space to be and to realize. So I get excited when I think of that.
Great to hear your excitement and enthusiasm. Any particular things that you have planned for Holy Week and Easter? Any other good ideas for us to borrow?
So Holy Week is what we've agreed. We started that last year. So every day, Monday to Friday, we have got the Holy Week reflection. So from 11 to 12, we gather and we reflect on the Passion Week, where different reflections. So what I've also done is to invite other ministers to come in and share. So we'll have a lineup of colleagues coming to share, and this 30 minutes reflection, and afterwards we just gather, we have tea and coffee, and then on the Thursday, the Monday Thursday, we are having a agape meal where we're going to just come together for dinner, as it were, meet over a meal, and we'll break the bread and share communion. Part of time we will also have a moment to share in the Lord's Supper, and then the Friday we also have the morning service for reflection and the Good Friday service, and then the Saturday there's the walk of witness. All our ecumenical body will come and will walk in the main street, Argyle Street, and we'll start from the pier and then walk the main street, and we'll open the gates of one of our Cowal cake spaces, and we'll share the message there. So that's for Saturday, and then the Sunday morning again, led by one of our communicable partners, Baptist Church. People will gather to the sunrise very early in the morning, and then we will have our Sunday service. So yeah, it's a full-on week. That's exciting.
A busy week, but always a good week. Everisto, it's been lovely to talk with you, and I wish you every blessing as you continue journeying through Lent towards Easter, and in all that you are doing in your congregation. We'll leave it there. Thank you for your time, for all that you're doing, and indeed for all that you're doing for Clare LNE. as our FAPLT representative. We now have you on our business committee and look forward to all that you bring to our presbytery, to our shared life of faith together. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, everyone. God bless.
God bless you.